Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Gilligan. I'm the Vice President of Operations for RVA757 Connects. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for the latest edition of the RVA757 Connects Innovation Spotlight webinar series. We have an exciting program today about how the Richmond region is positioning itself for AI readiness and also for tech talent growth. This afternoon's webinar will spotlight two organizations. One is AI Ready RVA, and the other one is the Richmond Technology Council, also known as RVATech. Both of those organizations are at the forefront of this transformative and shaping this transformation and is shaping the Richmond region's future as a thriving IT and technology hub that's ready for artificial intelligence. A couple of housekeeping matters. I'll introduce our sponsor here just in a few moments. This one's sponsor. I'll give you an update on RVA757 Connects. Then we'll delve into today's topic, and then we'll leave some questions at the very end for you to ask some questions and for the panel to answer your questions. And if you have any, just a reminder, we do post all of our innovation webinars to our website. And if you have any questions, please use the chat function to be able to ask those questions. RVA757 Connects is a nonprofit organization, so we rely on donations. One of our corporate investors is CarMax, which is the nation's largest retailer of used vehicles based here in the Richmond region. But really, from its very beginning in 1993, CarMax is a technology company. Today, to tell us more about CarMax is Shamim Mohammed, who is the Executive Vice President and Chief Information and Technology Officer for CarMax. As part of the senior executive team at CarMax, Shamim is leading CarMax's digital transformation. He's a sought-after thought leader, a speaker. He's been quoted in many national publications such as the Harvard Business Review and the Wall Street Journal. He was recently quoted in a Forbes article about Sky, which is CarMax's AI-driven virtual assistant. He's also a board member of RVA757 Connects, and he's also serves on several community and professional organizations throughout the Richmond region. So let me stop sharing the screen and let Shamim tell us a little bit more about CarMax.
Thank you, Greg. Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well and your New Year's off to a great start. In today's world, artificial intelligence has emerged as a crucial force. It is disrupting everything, right? It's revolutionizing multiple industries, including retail, healthcare, finance, education, and more. So AI is presenting unprecedented opportunities and potential for the regions and different countries. And we've seen it's dominating the news headlines and news every day. I mean, something new coming out every day. So it's hard to keep up with it. We are thrilled to sponsor today's webinar on how the Richmond region is establishing itself as a leader in technology and AI. So it should be a great session this afternoon with two awesome speakers. Now, as Greg mentioned, CarMax was founded in Richmond over 30 years ago. And our mission was really to fundamentally change how Americans buy and sell or finance cars. Now, from the very beginning, entrepreneurship and innovation have been integral to our DNA and overall success. Now, by leveraging technology, by creating a great culture, by having the continuous focus on driving efficiency and experiences, today we are in one of the most renowned iconic companies, Fortune 500 companies in the US. And we're also recognized for a great culture. For the last 20 years in a row, we've been recognized as one of Fortune's 100 best companies to work for, which is something we were very proud of. Now, CarMax has evolved into a digital and technology powerhouse by continuously focusing on technology, innovation, and setting new standards for automotive retail industry. We have been pioneer and early adopters of machine learning, AI, and Gen AI. So these are not new concepts to us, but we know that it has been getting a lot of popularity and it is getting a lot of momentum. And we're very happy to be a part of that excitement. Richmond is our home. and most of our associates live and work within this vibrant region. We are excited to witness the ongoing growth and development of technology and AI in our region. We've seen a lot of growth and momentum over the past couple of years, and we remain very committed to fostering an innovation and technological advancement in this Richmond region to make sure we have a bright future and technology-driven, AI-driven future here in our region for all of our community members. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to RVA757 Connects. It's been wonderful for me to personally be involved with this organization and the impact the RVA757 Connects is having in our region, and championing the mission for making our region a go-to destination for innovation, AI, and overall technological growth. So we're proud to support RVA757, and I wish RVA757 continued success. And I'm very much looking forward to the session this afternoon, Greg.
Great. Thank you, Shamim. Really do appreciate that. And thank you for your support and also for CarMax's support as well. Big help. Before I start any further, I just want to let everyone know that I'm a very popular person today. My name is appearing on many of yours underneath for your identification on your screens. Apologize, we have a little bit of a glitch with our Zoom account. You can change it if you'd like, you can leave it if you like. I'm a popular guy. Even Shamim had it as the famous, he had changed his to the infamous Greg Gilligan. So anyway, nevertheless, Shamim, thank you again, I appreciate it. So let me continue on with the program, and let me tell you a little bit about RVA757 Connects. As I mentioned, we are a nonprofit organization, and we are here to improve the economic success and quality of life of everyone living in the Richmond region, which we call RVA, and Hampton Roads, which is called 757. We are a coalition of top leaders representing businesses, higher education, and organizations. We're following a national model where nearby localities collaborate on initiatives that advance both regions. We are advancing the mega region from the Richmond area all the way down to Hampton Roads as the I-64 Innovation Corridor. As you can see, we are pursuing several priorities. We're helping the I-64 Innovation Corridor become a global internet hub, and I'll talk about that in just a few moments. We advocated for the widening of Interstate 64, that 29 miles gap between New Kent County and Williamsburg. That project is now fully funded, and the construction has started, and the project is expected to be finished by 2028, which means there'll be 3 lanes in each direction all the way from Richmond all the way down to Hampton Roads. And we're also advocating for multi-use trails such as Trail 757. You can read more about all these initiatives and our priorities on our website, RVA757Connects.com. And our top priority is to spearhead the efforts to make the I-64 Innovation Corridor for the Richmond area all the way to Hampton Roads designated as a global internet hub. We spent much of 2022 and 2023 developing a strategic plan to make this happen. Last year and now into this year, we're implementing that plan. The bottom line is that we have the digital assets that puts our mega region into becoming a global internet hub. When you view the Richmond area and the Hampton Roads together, we have these core components or digital assets in place needed to become a global internet hub. Our mega region has subsea cables that come ashore in Virginia Beach, and more are on the way. We have a robust local and intercity terrestrial networks. We have network rings, we have internet exchanges, and data centers of all types and sizes. This particular 3-foot by 2-foot map explains visually how the I-64 Innovation Corridor becomes a global internet hub by combining the digital assets of both the regions. If you'd like to have a copy of this map, please let me know, and we'll get you one. On the back side of this map brochure lists our 10 strategies and the reasons why we feel like we need to become a global internet hub. Again, if you'd like a copy of that, please let me know. Or you could go to our website at RVA757Connects.com or to the globalinternethub.com website to be able to click on both of the maps and also the strategic plan. As part of our Global Internet Hub initiative, RVA757 Connects is championing for a strong and expanding digital infrastructure ecosystem to enable world-class communications and connectivity. Having modern digital infrastructure ecosystems fuel everything from cloud computing to e-commerce to AI-driven manufacturing. A powerful digital infrastructure also supports the growth of high-paying IT tech jobs, ensures the industries of tomorrow will locate and expand in the I-64 Innovation Corridor. All of this will help our overall GDP, workforce productivity per worker growth, wages to grow, and in turn, economic prosperity for all. Virginia is at the center of a debate right now around the future of data centers. Discussions taking place in the General Assembly right now have focused on potential limits and regulations to data centers. The Joint Legislative Audit and Review Commission, commonly referred to as JLARC, issued a report about data centers in December. Yet a crucial point in all of this being discussed one thing is being overlooked, and that is that data centers are just one piece of a larger digital infrastructure ecosystem. And these ecosystems have a broader set of benefits, opportunities, and challenges. Data centers are the backbone of our connected world, managing the surge of data from smart devices and to all the way to AI technologies. You can learn more about how Virginia's data centers play a vital role in modern life through a series of video commercials that Virginia Connects has created. Virginia Connects is a nonprofit organization representing a broad coalition of stakeholders, including RVA757 Connects, that support essential infrastructure that data centers provide in our daily lives in a modern 21st century economy. Watch the videos on our homepage, or you can go to virginiaconnects.com to also watch them as well. I wanted to mention that we gave our Global Internet Hub initiative a soul, so to speak, by recruiting a national nonprofit organization called PCs for People to come to the mega region. PCs for People is the largest and most successful computer refurbisher operating in large U.S. markets with a vision to end the digital divide. PCs for People has selected the mega region from Richmond area all the way to Hampton Roads as its next expansion market. PCs for People collects outdated computers at no cost to donating businesses or organizations. Then they refurbish those old computers and install the latest software. They provide the renewed desktop systems to underserved residents and families for free, or late model laptops for up to $150. In addition, PCs for People provides toll-free tech help support and free ongoing computer training. PCs for People should be operational in the spring. The nonprofit recently purchased a site of the former Save-A-Lot store on East Pembroke Avenue in Hampton, which is next to that Dollar Tree, as you can see there on the slide. That building will serve as its refurbishment and distribution and retail center. Other good news the Richmond region got this past month is the Site Selection magazine has recognized the Richmond region as one of the top 25 tech hubs in the North America Tech Hubs Index that was published last month. The article also gave a shout out to the Global Internet Hub Initiative and mentioned the digital infrastructure developments taking place along the entire I-64 Innovation Corridor from Virginia Beach to the Richmond region. Let's turn to today's topic. The slide this afternoon, we will explore how the Richmond region is positioning itself for AI readiness and tech talent growth. We are spotlighting, as I mentioned earlier, these two organizations, AI Ready RVA and the Richmond Technology Council, because they are at the forefront of this transformation and they are helping to shape the Richmond region's future as a thriving IT and technology hub that's ready for artificial intelligence. AI Ready RVA is advancing AI literacy and workforce development to prepare the Richmond region for an AI future. Through interactive workshops, hands-on skill building, community networking, AI Ready RVA is empowering individuals and businesses to thrive. Plans also are underway for a state-of-the-art hub in the Richmond area that will serve as an incubator, an education center, and a collaborative innovation space. Our speaker can talk about that in just a moment. The other group, as I mentioned, is RVATech, or the Richmond Technology Council, and that group is working to develop, upskill, attract, and retain Richmond's region's most robust tech talent pipeline. The organization is also doing this through a variety of different programs it has, initiatives, and partnerships. And RVATech also recently launched a new brand web platform for the Richmond tech community aimed at attracting and retaining talent as the tech's most creative city. Today's topic relates to a white paper that the Global Internet Hub Council developed last fall to try to explore why the Richmond region is behind in attracting tech workers and what should be done now to overcome that. The paper determined that the IT tech workforce is a complicated topic, and there's no one silver bullet action step. However, the ramp up of the IT tech talent development requires an all hands approach with resources. We applaud the growing number of organizations focused on this important topic, such as workforce development organizations, economic development agencies, the chambers, higher education, the community colleges, and AI Ready RVA and the Richmond Technology Council. Let me introduce our speakers. The first one will be Will Melton. Will is the founder and CEO of Exponent 21, which is a Richmond-based creative marketing agency. He is also the founder of AI Ready RVA, and he serves as vice chairman of that nonprofit's board. Now, after we hear from Will, we will hear from Nick Sefris, who has been the CEO of the Richmond Technology Council since 2019. In his role, he works to build the most vibrant tech community possible for the Richmond region, while also striving to elevate the profile of Richmond as a thriving tech town regionally and nationally. So before I turn the slides over to the program, just as a reminder, if you have questions, please use the chat function, and we will let Will talk first, and then after Will will be Nick. So I'll stop my program, and Will, take it forward.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, great. I'm going to get my screen shared here and we'll get into it. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thanks for having me here today. So I'm super excited to give this presentation. I could give this presentation every day and be a happy camper because I believe what we're doing is incredibly important. I'm going to kind of do a few things here. I hope to give you a little bit of the story on the origin of this, give you some of the history, talk about where we are today and where we're going. And of course, we'll have plenty of time for questions. I will pre-warn you that I do have some text-heavy slides here. So don't focus on the text. I'll be just kind of using those as guides, and we'll make sure that we share these slides with you guys at the end of the presentation. So that you can review all the text that's on there. First and foremost, the story behind AI Ready RVA is pretty simple. Chamber RVA, which I know is a partner to RVA757 Connects, facilitates a yearly trip to Washington, D.C. to visit with our legislators. I had the good fortune to be on that trip 2 years ago in the summertime, and on that particular day, Mark Warner had been in meetings that morning with AI executives, one of them being Sam Altman. And he came into the room and he was incredibly animated and concerned. He saw the potential and the risks with AI, and he was particularly interested in understanding it and talking about it so that it doesn't become some of the negative things that we see with things like social media and other technological advancements. So leaving that meeting, we came back as executive committee at Chamber RVA, and a couple of folks said, hey, this is important. We need to move quickly. It's hard to move quickly in the nonprofit world or in the association world. So we decided that we would have twice monthly or every 2 weeks virtual calls at 8 a.m. And we did that just religiously for the better part of a year. And we had a number of great folks, leaders from across the Richmond region, attend those calls and share their insights, learn a little bit as we covered the latest news and tried to really understand what it was that we were supposed to be doing to be able to empower Richmond with this new technology. So, that's a pretty short story, and some of the other details I'll get into as I go through these slides. And just talking about the impact of AI in Richmond, I will say here that I don't believe that AI is going to have a profoundly different impact any place you go geographically, unless it is that community that you're in is chosen to leverage AI to empower the community. And that's what AI Ready RVA was created to do when we decided that we were going to pursue establishing as a nonprofit. We have the potential to take this technology and make something great with it and make Richmond a better place and the entire region. So, again, we're not seeing a profoundly different impact here as maybe some other places are, but we are a metro. We do benefit from having, more tech talent than perhaps the rural areas. And as I'll talk about as we get into the slides, we have a lot of folks who have shown up to our doorstep to support us in a variety of different ways. Okay, so some of the things that we're thinking about and have observed already from an impact perspective. Obviously, economic growth is going to happen and is already happening, and there's a lot of potential there if we can harness it. Grateful to have some great employers here in the region, including CarMax, to foster those jobs, to upskill that talent, make sure that they're bringing in new talent. And so we have a ton of AI related talent here in the region. And there's a lot more room to grow as this presentation is designed to foster. Of course, cultural renaissance, there's going to be a lot of things that our community harnesses AI for, and creativity is not going to be one of the things that's left out with Richmond being such a creative place. And then, of course, we have some wonderful institutions that are working to introduce new degree programs and new courses to be able to make sure that students who are moving through universities now are able to thrive. What's not here is, we're actively talking to the community colleges systems to find out how we can partner with them as well. So this is all happening so fast. There's a lot of conversations going on, and I'll hope to cover some of those as I go through this. So, again, I told you guys I have some text-heavy slides here. So just kind of a overview of what I'll touch on here. Give you a little bit of our how we've established ourselves, what we intend to do, a little bit about the future of the impact of our organization, some things that we've done so far, programs that we've spun up, and the ways that we're actually empowering folks and actually meeting our mission, leadership, and some of the things that folks can do to get involved with our organization. So mission, vision, and values, this was something that we were very intentional about really early on after we established as a nonprofit. If we start with the values, I think what's really important is, and why it's at the top of our list, is optimism. We are strong believers that the belief system that we carry around is going to influence what it is that we do with this. So we can have a pessimistic viewpoint, we can have an extremely concerned viewpoint, and that's going to shape where we go. So we choose to be optimistic. We understand that there are risks and that there's a need to be responsible as we explore this technology and figure out how to implement it into our society as a whole. But that optimism comes first. Of course, literacy is our number one objective. We are not serving the tech community per se. Certainly they have a role at the table, but we really see our work in reaching out to the broader community and making sure that everybody in the region, from rural pockets to the urban core, to folks that have been left behind in previous technological advancements, to folks that are just looking to get upskilled in this or understand it better. This is for everybody, because if we don't bring everybody along, we do not stand the potential to be able to create this hub, to create this energy and economic impact. And so we hope to be able to bring that optimism to the community and have other folks carry that message around. We absolutely need to collaborate with partners in the community, and as I mentioned earlier, we're having a lot of those discussions actively. We know that it doesn't stop with AI literacy. If we can empower folks with AI literacy, that might help them be more financially literate or just more literate in general, and exposure to all the things that the AI can help us understand. So we see that as a big opportunity. And of course, we need to make sure that we are inclusive and listening to, talking to, bringing others into the conversation from across the entire community, so that we can be sure that we're able to reach everyone and have that broad impact. And of course, there's a lot of conversations around ethical and responsible AI use that we continue to have. So we are, technically about 8 months into our nonprofit status, but of course we've been meeting for about 18 months now. So our actual official launch was in July. We started with 3 board members to get things started again quickly, knowing that we would need to recruit a more complete board pretty quickly after that. Which we did, and we probably had our full board, within about a month or so of incorporating. And our steering committee continues. So we started that back in August of 2023. We still have those meetings. Anybody's welcome to come and listen and be a part of that. So if you want to get involved in those, just we'll make sure that you have my contact information. You can reach out to AI Ready RVA on our socials or website so that you can get that invitation. Folks have tended to kind of come and go from that as their availability allows, but it has enabled us to reach a number of leaders across the community so that we can hear them and ensure that they know what it is that we're doing. So, beyond that, what we've really focused on is doing the work. So events are going to be our have been our number one activity. It will continue to be our number one activity. Our very first official event was in January of last year. It was called Empowering, I'm going to get this wrong. It's probably on this slide too. Empower Your Business with AI, I think is what we called it. But we had it at the Alliance Group, and had about 25 folks that showed up. It was clear from that event that there was a ton of enthusiasm around what it is that we are doing and AI in general. So the start was in person, and we knew really early on that continuing in person was going to be a really important thing for us to do. We are building a community, and we have plenty of virtual meetings, but we have found that the energy is much higher, and we're able to affect learning better and create those bridges when we get together. So we still have some virtual programming that is totally free and accessible online, but we aim to continue to promote in-person events. And with those, we work really hard to make sure that the cost barrier is incredibly low. We're always looking for ways to give people access to these events when they may not necessarily have the financial means to attend. And there's going to be plenty more conversations about that that we can discuss. And so you see here, a number of different organizations have invited us to come and speak, similar to this here today, and give exposure to what it is that we're doing. So we got to plug at Richmond Forum, Encorepreneur, Black Street Conference. So that's going to continue on. We've been really blessed to have relationships with Meta and VCU to be able to host events there and bring speakers in from other places in the country. So again, we'll continue to do that. But a lot of the things that we've done have really involved folks who are here in the Richmond community. We've got a lot of talent, a lot of leaders who we can lean on for that. So other achievements to make note of, again, this community has grown really fast. We've had a ton of folks follow us on LinkedIn. This number's grown a bit since the slide was put together. We continue to see new subscribers. We see new members join AI Ready RVA just about every single day of the week. And we are incredibly active, so that again, our number one focus at this point is bring the awareness about our organization, make sure that people know that we exist, give them the ability to come and be a part of what we're doing. So on the money front, just quickly here, we raised a small amount of money at the end of last year as we started to build out our membership programming. Some founding funders helped us with that. We brought on some new subscriber members, which is generally more for individuals versus our corporate memberships. And since the beginning of the year, this number has grown substantially as we plan for our big launch event later this month. One of the most important things that we've done since we began was to decide to pursue a cohort model. For any of the folks here who are into marketing, people will always tune in a little bit more, lean in a little bit more, whenever what it is that we're talking about directly impacts them. And so our cohort model allows us to create these different pockets within the community that are not necessarily, I wouldn't call them subsidiaries, but they're volunteer groups that come together with a structured quarterly meeting and some others in between that they choose to organize. And so far, education, money and finance, women in AI, ethical use, We'll have a marketing one spun up soon. We've got a veterans cohort. And I do believe that the cohort model has been one of the reasons why we've been able to grow so fast. Of note in this, of all the cohort launches that we've done, Women in AI has been the #1 event that we've held, with about 60 women showing up to that inaugural event. We've got another one coming up, and folks are signing up every day for that. So we're really excited to see that. As again, we're interested in making sure that this technology is spread widely and that no groups are left behind. We also have the Inspire AI podcast. Please hop over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're doing, I believe, weekly podcasts, a lot of great leaders talking about a number of different topics as it relates to AI. One more way that we are able to meet our mission. So I'm going to keep moving through here because I know that I want to make sure that we got time for Nick and Q&A. Richmond as a whole has the potential to be a leader in the nation when it comes to AI adoption and job growth. And so that's one of the major drivers for us that we're looking at. We want to make sure that employers know that Richmond is a place that has skilled talent that knows how to use AI, develop AI, and train it, implement it, all the different jobs that are going to come in the future. And so we want to make sure that those workers are here. We want to attract those companies. We want to be able to raise the wages for the people who are here in this community through this economic development effort. And we see our efforts driving that. Now, we've got a lot of work to do to be able to identify those KPIs that are going to be in service to the entire community. Right now we're using committee level KPIs largely to do with things like, how many people are we touching with our programming, and just key things with how many folks that we're actually reaching on the communication side, financial metrics and things like that. But as we go through our strategic planning process this year, we'll be able to establish more clarity around what those broader KPIs are. And we absolutely welcome people from the community, like this group and others, to help inform those so that we can all be aligned on our initiatives. So, broadly speaking, again, we have a great infrastructure here in the region as it stands, and there's a lot of conversations that are happening in the region across these different organizations. So, there's going to be a lot more that we'll be able to share as we go into the future, but we are already a strong community when it comes to AI. Again, I don't like reading off of slides, so these will be data points that you'll be able to capture after the presentation. To give you a sense of what we see for this year, again, workforce development is the way that we get to economic development. So we're going to continue to speak to folks like the economic development folks at the state level, at the local level, community colleges, and working to figure out how we can incorporate with their programming and make sure that they're moving the direction they need to go for their students. We intend to, go out and get the money that we need to be able to do what we need to do. So that's going to come from a number of sources, from memberships, from funding for the folks that are involved in our programs, the businesses that we do see participating to create those jobs, and of course grant funding so that we can expand our education access and opportunities. There's going to be a lot of discussions this year. I'll get into, I think, in a later slide, our physical home, which we're currently in the early phases of planning. And I'll touch on that, I guess, that slide just a little bit later here. But money and finance, again, that's up and running. We've had a couple of meetings there. Packed house in the very first event. We learned we have to have bigger spaces for these. Women in AI, K-12. I didn't mention that one earlier, but that was one of the early cohorts that we started. It took us a little bit of time to get some traction there, but we have a really strong group that's meeting to navigate that space and make sure that we are not leaving our young people behind. No code cohort was another one that I didn't mention, and certainly more on the way. So we have some great folks who have been incredibly dedicated to this initiative from early on, and have devoted a lot of their time and energy, connections, money to what it is that we're doing. And so you can see some of the names here of our community leaders. So our steering committee, there's a bunch of names on our website. If you go back into our blog articles, there's a number of folks that you can see there, about 60 different names. We try to keep that updated as we have new folks that come in. But Liz Baker has been really tremendous in keeping us on our toes with engaging with the community and making sure that people are energized. Phil Demetriou, if you guys know Phil, he's the Richmond Institute of RITS Technology and Science. He is also involved with the debate club. So he works a lot with younger folks, and he's been really instrumental in connecting us to the education community, as well as thinking through how we bring our programming to life in the community. Alexander Whiteway, the creator of this presentation, he's here on this call. He's been instrumental in helping us identify various grant funders that we can pursue so that we are able to do all the things that we aim to do. So here's a look at our larger group of officers. And I believe on my next slide, I've got, I don't have my full list of, actually I do have the board members there on the right. So again, great start. We're going to be bringing on some new board members here this year so that we can continue on. And then I believe we're going to be establishing a formal advisory committee or advisory board so that we can bring even more people in from across a wider spectrum of industries and leadership groups. So, just kind of talking about the funding, the grant funding, we see that as probably being one of our primary sources of funds to be able to do a lot of our programming. And we see, as we look at grant funders and what they're funding, these are sort of the things that they're incorporating into their opportunities. So, National Science Foundation, Ford Foundation, there's certainly local groups that we can go to, and we're actively planning our attack on that. So, another big part of this for us to be successful is that we are pursuing partnerships. So it's really critical that we are involved with universities, that we're involved with other nonprofits, that we're involved with workforce development groups. And there is funding, fortunately for workforce development, there's funding, or previously there was funding from congressionally directed spending, from all these different grants that I mentioned, as well as federal grants. So there's a ton of money out there. We've got a lot of work to do to get it and to prove that we're worthy. But again, we're making some great strides. So I'll close with this and open it up to questions, or we can follow Greg's lead. We're looking for members to join our organization to have an impact. That's corporate members, that's subscriber members. We actually have an option for people to join for as little as $1 a month, because we think it's really important that the barriers are dropped. We also want people to be involved in this. So $1, we won't make any money on that after we've paid our fees on it, but it keeps people tuned in and it keeps them involved in what we're doing. And we believe that's really important. We talked about the cohorts earlier. We have opportunities for people to help us fund those with sponsorships. And then, as we go forward into the future, our upcoming event on February 19th is one where we still have some expo tables and some sponsorships available to be able to bring people in. We also still have tickets available to that event as well. So I'm going to just switch over to another screen really quickly and just show you quickly. I think the best opportunity and a lot of the energy that we've been able to foster really in recent months has been as a result of promoting this event. This is going to be, really our coming out party, our opportunity to introduce ourselves to the community. And, if you visit our social media accounts, you'll be able to go in and see our panel discussion guests and all the many people who have decided to come and be expo exhibitors at this event, including CarMax. So I'll leave it at that. And one other thing I'll throw out there. One of our sponsors has made it possible for us to give away 10 tickets to this event. So if you visit AIReadyRVA.com/possibility, you can enter to win. If you're not sure you can go to the event, it'd be a good opportunity for you to get your name on our list and stay up with what we're doing. So I'll give up the floor. Thank you so much.
Will, that was great. Very comprehensive of what you guys are doing in such a few short months, I guess. Probably seems a lot longer for you, but few short months. Nick, we'll turn it over to you, and so you can share the screen and tell us more about the Richmond Technology Council.
Thanks, Greg. Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Surface. I'm the CEO of the Richmond Technology Council. So we're the area's trade association for tech companies or any company with a tech component. And our goal is to try to create the most vibrant tech community we can here in the greater Richmond area. And we do that through three primary ways. So we advocate for the tech sector, and in a lot of ways that is being up at the General Assembly, looking at legislation that's coming through both in the Senate and in the House, and either advocating on behalf of specific companies or on behalf of the sector as a whole, or on behalf of the city and the region to make sure that we have the infrastructure and the policies in place that promote a healthy tech community. We advance the tech talent pipeline. So a lot of what we do is professional development, community development, networking, bringing people together, education, whatever we can do to attract and retain a strong tech talent pipeline here in Richmond. And lastly, we do the best we can to elevate the profile of Richmond as a tech town. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second, but we certainly want to try to establish or raise Richmond's profile, not just within the Commonwealth, but regionally and hopefully nationally. We feel like there's an opportunity to differentiate Richmond from other kind of tech towns around the country, and we're trying to do that as best as possible. So those are our three pillars. Most people know us from our events. We are a very heavily event-driven business. We have 5 kind of staple conferences throughout the year. We have CyberCon VA, which is certainly our cybersecurity event. It's actually happening tomorrow at the Dominion Energy Center. Our second event is our Data and AI Summit. That happens in March over at the Science Museum. In May, we do something called Code and Cloud, which is a software development, software architecture, software engineering conference. Heavy on the tech side, kind of deep tech coding, that type of thing. That happens in May. In June, we have something called Product Fest. This is for product managers, product designers, folks who are more on the design side of things. It happens in June. It's usually a little bit more fun, festival-like, less deep tech, and more kind of engagement and design. And then last but not least is our Women in Tech Conference, which happens in October every year. And that is our longest standing conference. We typically welcome about 800 to 1,000 folks to that event. It features tracks across the board for all experience levels and all personas and demographics. So it's absolutely our biggest conference year over year. Some of you may be familiar with some of our other events. We do a variety of networking and business development events throughout the year. Certainly our Gala Awards are our biggest event. Usually happens at Maymont. We do that in September. It's about 1,000 folks, and it's our big awards program. After that, we also do a golf tournament that is in April. We do that over at Hermitage Country Club. We also have a Women in Tech Awards specifically for that community. That happens in March at the Women's Club here in Richmond. We do have a couple serial events, breakfasts, no pun intended, happen about 3 times a year. And then our Tech on Taps also happen about 3 times a year, which are happy hours. Our breakfasts are more C-suite, so we usually put a panel of CIOs or CISOs or CTOs on stage, whereas our Tech on Taps are absolutely more business development and networking and socializing. So we do other events throughout the year on a kind of a case-by-case basis. We do a lot of partnerships, as Will mentioned. We're always looking to partner with different organizations and companies throughout the year. And so I'll talk a little bit more about those partnerships here in a second. Diving into our 3 pillars, just to kind of showcase a little bit more about what we do. We advocate at the General Assembly for the tech sector. And right now there are 3 bills going through, or I should say there are 5, but there are 3 major topics. Senate Bill 1214, which is about high-risk AI development and use in the public sector. So that's really looking at regulation and policies that could be applied to maybe VITA or other agencies that are, have some sort of application of AI to what they do. So there's an attempt there to kind of regulate the guideposts or the guidelines in terms of how it's applied. Secondly, HB 2094 is about the risk deployment and use of AI in a negative way, in a potentially harmful way, and the potential application of civil penalties for those. In both cases, we're looking at them from both sides of the equation, whether support or opposition. We certainly want to be responsible and create a healthy, safe environment, but we do deep dive into some of these bills to make sure that they're not adversely affecting our companies, or that they make sure that they've been well researched and well studied, and that both sides of the table or both sides of the aisle understand the issue. And we do that in a couple of different ways. I myself spend a lot of time up at the General Assembly throughout session, and we also have a lobbyist on staff who spends some time up there as well. We certainly leverage his connections and network amongst policymakers to make sure that we can make the biggest impact we can. We also monitor things throughout the year, whether they're governor's executive orders or other things, or other state authorities or initiatives that might be coming through related to tech and AI. So we try to keep people up to date on that. The last bill you see there is the AI Training Data Transparency Act. This will require folks who are developing and administering AI to disclose their source code, where they're developing or getting the data that determines how the AI is applied and used. And it's a lot about transparency and explaining and showcasing or highlighting how the data is gathered, what data you're using, and how the AI is generated to make sure that that's open and transparent. So just some things that we're watching right now. The second thing we do is we've been trying to advocate for Richmond as a tech hub. And one of those things we've done is we recently applied for a US EDA grant hub or a tech hub grant. It was potentially for $50 to $75 million to help Richmond establish itself as a tech hub in artificial intelligence and machine learning. In order to do that, we put a consortium of people together, companies and organizations and people. Companies in the private sector, most of our higher ed institutions, economic development agencies, whether it's the Greater Richmond Partnership or the specific counties and city itself, government and public individuals, whether it's politicians or state agencies. We brought together workforce development groups and nonprofit partners. And we had a little over 50 partners for this application. Unfortunately, it was not advanced. Other areas and locations were picked. But these are the kinds of things that we keep our eye on. We do have a director of membership and workforce development that kind of keeps her eye on potential grant programs and other things that could impact the region as a whole. And one of the things I've been really trying to emphasize to people is that we're a great partner at RVATech. We're maybe not necessarily the head of the spear or the lead on a grant application. A lot of times we partner with the academic institutions or other agencies and organizations to kind of show support from the tech side or the tech lane, so to speak. So if any of you out there have grant applications or are involved with grants at other organizations that could be beneficial or we could be helpful to, please let us know. The other thing we try to do is try to create a higher profile for Richmond as a tech town nationally. We've been working on this for several years now. We have a specific committee that works on this, as well as our board of directors as a whole. We certainly want to elevate the profile of Richmond, Virginia. We think it's a great place. We recently, a couple of years ago, embarked on a brand platform process. And that process was to create something tangible that we could go out and kind of scream from the rooftops and help promote Richmond. And one of the steps that we did along the way are as follows. So we had a variety of stakeholder conversations and surveys, talked to both companies, private and public, in terms of what we needed to do. We enlisted an advertising agency. In this case, we used 2Tango, which is a local company over in Scott's Addition. We really leveraged a competitive analysis. We looked at what other cities and regions were doing, what other tech towns were out there, and how they were kind of positioning themselves. And admittedly, everybody seems to position themselves a little bit differently. We did some persona development. We looked at the recent college graduate. We looked at the mid-level mid-level to senior technologist, folks who are in the kind of the director to VP role. And we looked at the C-suite. And we said, which of these can we really make the biggest impact on? And one of the things that came back is that a couple of those demographics were really hard to move. The first being college graduates. In those cases, a lot of those folks either go where their friends go, they go where their family is, they go somewhere that has kind of a national cool feeling, or they go somewhere that has is specific to their sector or their particular educational topic. So it's just really hard to influence. Some of those things, where your friends are, where your parents are, overall cool factor, not necessarily as influenceable. And so we also looked at the C-suite. And what we noticed among the C-suite is a lot of those folks are picking locations just based on the job. They're looking for a specific job at a specific size company, a specific sector, and they're trying to advance their careers and looking for a very small niche of jobs. And usually they're going to go wherever the right job is. Usually the compensation is significant. There's relocation packages, and the things that we can influence for a C-suite are not as available. So what we decided is we could really focus on that mid-level practitioner, the director, senior VP, VP level technologist. And so that's kind of what we chose to do. Then we kind of moved into a creative strategy and creative development, and ultimately came up with what we think is a really great brand platform that we can execute on and implement. And what that is Richmond, Virginia, Tech's most creative city. What we love about this is it feels authentic to the city. It encapsulates more than just tech. We feel between the Martin Agency here in town, the F&B that we have, the art scene, the music scene, everything that encapsulates Richmond talks about creativity, and it's something that we can differentiate on. By saying we're the most creative, it's also something that we can kind of put a stake in the ground in and then start to prove. And so some of the things we're doing to prove that are outreach to other conferences and other tech councils in other areas. We have a separate parallel website to RVATech.com. It's called techsmostcreative.city. It's where we tell stories and promote tech or creativity in tech here in Richmond. And then also potential advertising and promotion of the city as Tech's most creative city. So that's our third pillar, and that's the one we're working on the hardest these days. For those that don't know, we think that Richmond's a great place to be because of our thriving tech sectors. One of the highlights about Richmond that I'm always kind of shouting from the rooftops is the diversity of sector we have in town. And I'm often saying this in relation to workforce when we're attracting workforce to town. A lot of people come here because they're offered a job at one of our big Fortune 500s. But one of the concerns is, what happens if it doesn't work out? What else can I find in Richmond? And so I'm often highlighting, we have fintech and banking, we have biotech, manufacturing, we have logistics with Estes here in town, retail, obviously, with CarMax, energy tech with Dominion, web and digital with CoStar and all of its properties. And certainly marketing and advertising has a strong foundation here in Richmond. So when I'm speaking about Richmond out and about, this is what I'm really trying to explain and promote. As I mentioned earlier, there are a bunch of other orgs here in Richmond. Obviously, AI Ready RVA is one that we're trying to partner with as much as possible moving forward. There's also Code RVA, which is a regional high school here in town. Code VA, different organization that strives to teach teachers. So they're trying to help Virginia create the strongest population of computer science teachers possible. We have First Robotics, Startup Virginia for our startups. There's something called the Virginia Cybersecurity Partnership. That's based here in Richmond and primarily a Richmond company. And then there's the RVA Data Enthusiasts, RVA'd. They're a local meetup, but also relative to AI and data. And that's it. I'll stop there. I know we are really short on time. It's 12:54 already. So thank you so much. And if you're interested, please check out RVATech.com.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the overview of what you all are doing. So let me ask you both you, Nick and Will. I don't know of any other market across the country that's claiming that it's an AI hub nationally, at least. What do you think it would take for the Richmond region to rise to the top and be the place for AI in the United States?
I'd say one word: buy-in. I think AI Ready RVA was the third nonprofit to do what it is that we're doing in the country. and maybe the other word is speed. This stuff is moving so fast that we have to move really quickly if we want to succeed and not lose ground to other localities. So those would be my two answers.
Greg, I would say success stories, having actual AI technology, companies applying AI successfully, which they are doing already, but telling that story. So making sure that those headlines and those case studies get out there so folks know that all those sectors I just mentioned, they're all doing cool things in AI here. And we just need to tell that story. And so that Richmond is seen as a place where actual AI is blossoming and growing.
So Nick, will you stop sharing your screen while I ask the next question?
Sure.
What do you guys see as the biggest challenges for getting either people or businesses ready for AI or for technology? I mean, we've been in this tech world, but what are the biggest challenges for people or businesses?
I would say that it is, while speed was my last answer, speed is the same answer to this. It's very overwhelming for people to absorb all of the information that's required to know this stuff. And every week there's new features coming out and all these tools that we have access to. And that exacerbates the problem for people who haven't even taken the first step. So I think that fear is something that is a big barrier for our success. And we've got to help people recognize that there's opportunity here, not as much risk.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that and say speed, which is similar to what Will just mentioned. The speed at which this is evolving and innovating and changing is quickly becoming a barrier to entry. I think pretty quickly, the reason that AI has grown and expanded so rapidly is its accessibility. Some of the tools are really usable by everybody from somebody in deep tech to a retiree, and I think that's what created this real boost in the curve here. But we're getting to a point where people are applying it across the board in so many different ways, and the tech behind it is starting to move really fast as well. And so there are so many applications and so many possibilities that it's quickly moving from really accessible to deep tech in a lot of ways. And so there's potentially a barrier to entry for companies that are trying to figure out how to apply it and how to not get left behind at the same time.
So we have a question from Dave Martin who asks, can you give us an example of a successful RVA AI story?
You want to take that one, Nick?
I was gonna, there's a handful of kind of startup AI companies that are coming on board. There's a grant writing one called Grantable that's really intriguing. They're using AI to expedite the grant writing process. On a more technical side, there's a company called NearSense that's using AI to amplify and enhance medical monitoring and how that's transmitted, particularly for soldiers on the battlefield. That's happening here in Richmond. And there's a host of others as well. There's one called Tapped AI, which is changing how bands and venues and event planners are booking things. So there's a lot of AI application, but I think what we're all waiting for is some sort of unique AI development to happen here, something on the back end, a new platform, a new AI, a new accessible democratic AI application that everybody can jump into rather than just applying it to different business models. But there's tons of those examples.
And I could just give you anecdotes about people who have come in, have not known anything about AI, and within a couple of weeks are using it every single day. So that's kind of more of the success story that we're seeing on a regular basis.
And I think one big success story has been CarMax is using its AI-driven platform called Sky, and so that Shameen talked briefly about that. So, Will, let me just ask you one last quick question: is tell us about this home or this tech hub that you guys are hoping to do at some point, and are you working with Nick and his group?
Yeah. So just quickly, I mean, what we want to do is create a physical home for business incubation, for student learning, whether that be upskilling workforce or university students or even K-12 students, as well as our programming. So all things under one roof. We can drive talent to the businesses that are growing there. We can make sure that the young people are getting exposure to more advanced AI things as they're working with those folks. And of course, the university partnership. So we're having active conversations with partners right now to explore where we're going, how quickly we can go there, where real estate might exist. Legitimate conversations, they might be, only $10,000 last year, but we're already deep into this conversation. And yes, Will Willis, our board chair, actually met with Nick this morning and talked a little bit about where we're going with things to see where we can align and share resources and ensure our success.
Great. Well, the witching hour, 1 o'clock, is quickly approaching us, but let me just thank you both for participating in today's conversation. And let me remind everybody briefly that, again, if you have any, if you want to get more information about what RVA757 Connects is doing in our major initiatives, please go to our website. All those things are right there. Also, just a reminder, we do record all of our webinars, including this one. This one will be available later this afternoon. You will get an email link about that as well. But we have a lot of other, a lot of our webinars for the past 3 years all are on our website. So please go back and take a look at any of them if you are able to do so. Our webinar that will happen a month from today, on Wednesday, March the 5th, will be a very interesting one. You might have heard about this thing called Commonwealth Fusion Systems. They are a Massachusetts-based company, and they're planning to produce energy by nuclear fusion by building the world's first commercial nuclear fusion plant in Chesterfield County. The plant would generate about 400 megawatts of zero-emission electricity, which is about enough to power something like 450,000 homes. Anyway, they expect to have operations sometime in the early part of the 2030s. So we'll have more details coming out about that in the next couple of weeks. But plan on that should be a very fascinating topic to have the world's first commercial nuclear fusion plant here in our backyard. Again, I want to thank CarMax for sponsoring our webinar today, and also big thanks both to Nick and to Will for participating as well. Thank you very much. And thank you all for coming as well. I look forward to seeing you a month from now on Wednesday, March the 5th. Have a great afternoon. Thank you again.